Happy almost game day yet again. What can we even take out of this Prairie View A&M game? And was last week's win a program win? Let's ask Brian Lewerke here in a hot second.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off your first purchase. Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, for the third time this season, happy game day or game day eve, depending on when you're listening to this. But hey, super shout out to anyone that's listening to us on their way up to East Lansing right now. Always surreal to, hear that we are part of at least a few people's game day plans. My goodness gracious. That's always just blows me away. But I also know that you guys aren't here just to listen to me. All right, we have Spartan icon, former Spartan quarterback, and just current legend. I mean, that'll never go away, Brian. It is Brian Lewerke. My man, how are we doing wearing the program win hat? Let's go. We are just feeling ourselves right now, aren't we, Brian?
Yes, sir. We're feeling good. We are 2-0 for the first time in a little bit. I was thinking about it probably since 2021, but before that, I don't know. It might have been a little bit before we were 2-0, started the season off like that. Or looking to go 3-0 at least. So
sure. At least like high vibes. You beat a Power 4 team, conference win. You're at the top of the standings. We are untouchable right now, Brian. But look, a peek behind the curtain. I was messaging you before this game even happened against Maryland. I said, hey, if we win this game, we're pulling out the program win hats. You're a man of your word. For those listening to the podcast, he's actually wearing his program win hat. So we'll start there. Not to make a win, last 5-6 days here, but was that Maryland game a program win, Brian? Take it away.
I think it was 100%. I mean, to start the Big Ten season opener of the Jonathan Smith era, playing at a stadium that I did not like playing at.
Okay.
It's always windy. There's never a lot of fans there. I think I saw maybe it was Graham Couch that tweeted that it was a very underrated stadium.
Okay.
Which I completely disagree with. I think it's exactly where it's supposed to be. It's not a very good place to play, in my opinion. But I thought the jump from week 1 to week 2 of the Michigan State offense specifically, I think was awesome. And it was great to get a win and feel way more confident going into the next stretch of the season.
Not to go off on a tangent this early in the show here, but I'm going off my notes because you brought up a good point about weird place to play. And this goes back to a conversation we had a few years ago with Mark Titus. He's a college basketball personality. But I asked him, hardest spots to play in the Big Ten. And he said, it's almost harder to play at Penn State for basketball or Northwest for basketball because you almost have to manufacture your own energy. Is that the same vibe that you got when you played too?
100%, yeah. And
okay.
Because when we would play them, typically it'd be later in the year when I was playing, when we played at their place. And, Maryland always starts off really hot in the season.
Yep.
They always go 3-0, 4-0, scoring 60 points a game, at least the last 4 or 5 years. Yeah. And then once they get to the stretch of their Big Ten games, it kind of, they're in the 4-4, 5-4 range. So not a lot of fans showed up for the games. We would have to manufacture our own. And that was, Northwestern was like that as well. A couple places that I played at. And it is. I mean, when you're playing at Penn State, and I played there, and basically a whiteout, I think it was, and there's 100,000 people.
Yeah.
And they're all booing you. It kind of makes you feel good and makes you feel motivated. But when there's not a lot of people there, you kind of have to create that with energy within yourself.
Yeah, because I'm in the other room at some points during this game, and I hear the crowd go crazy. I'm like, oh my God, what flag did we just have? Or oh my God, they sacked us. And then all of a sudden that's Nick Marsh in the end zone. Where are we playing right now? This is crazy, but you know what? Happy to do it. Happy to get a road win under the belt, no matter how just kind of lukewarm of an atmosphere it actually is. But look, before we flip the page and actually talk about this game going on Saturday, just as a former player, what impressed you the most about that win on Saturday? Because for me, just the armchair fan, it's the fact that, I don't even think that was their A game. Maybe not even their B game. I called it a C+ game, and yet they still won on the road against a legitimate team. It's not like, Maryland's this horrible program. They're legit now. So that's mine, is that you don't even need your A or B game to win on the road. That was enlightening, I think.
I thought it was. And there's, a couple things. I thought our offensive game plan was great. It was unpredictable in times where I was like, hey, let's run the ball here. Lindgren comes out with a pass, which I loved. He kept the play action shots alive. Even, Chiles in week 1 got worse on the deep balls as the game went on. This week he got better, hit a couple of deep ones. So I thought that was awesome. The offense, just progression from week 1 to week 2 was great. But yeah, I just seeing Chiles feel more comfortable going into the game. He kind of relaxed. You can definitely see the zip in his arm too. It's incredible. Yeah. It's gonna be fun watching him for a while. And the fact that we lost a turnover battle, we lost time possession.
I know, right?
Lost the third down percentage.
Yes,
and we still came out with a win. I think if we can fix that, the fact that we're doing that and still winning is a good thing. If we can fix that, we can start winning by 10, 20 points.
And I think most people know this by now, but we'll shout it out anyway. Like, you're not just, the former Michigan State quarterback, but you wanted to be a cool kid. And now you're a podcaster. Like, you do work for the You Are the Program podcast. And I don't know if it was you that tweeted this or Tyler or Dante, but someone tweeted this out that I thought was an excellent point. It was, didn't talk about this on the postgame podcast. We wish we did. Under the old regime, I can't tell you one time outside of 2021 that the team bounced back from adversity. It happened multiple times Saturday. You want to see a change culture. Proof is in the pudding. So I don't know if those were your thoughts. I can only imagine you kind of agree with it, but that was great to see too.
That was Dante that sent that one out.
Excellent.
I 100% agree with that. Chiles, like when he throws an interception, it doesn't seem like he's down. Like he's talking to guys. He's
right.
It's like, yeah, whatever. I'll go back out and throw a 70-yard bomb the next time we're out there. So
right. How long does it take for that bad feeling after an interception to wear off? Not that you ever threw one when you were at Michigan State, but hypothetically, if you ever did, okay, shoot. Well, how long does that last on the sideline?
I mean, you talk about it and you talk with the receiver. I mean, there's a couple missed throws the Chiles had too, where I think it's just young guys and, being with new receivers. There was one time he tried throwing like a high angle pass to Montorie Foster on a third down. Instead, or he threw it low. Montorie Foster went high. There's a little miscommunication there.
Sure.
But like you discuss stuff like that, interceptions on the sideline, talk with your coach, see what went wrong. And I like how they kept throwing the ball and like having confidence in him to be able to rebound from those mistakes.
Something that we talked about after week 1 is that they really didn't give him any, I called them live warm-up throws. Like they just came out of the gate throwing the ball deep. This game against Maryland, completely different. They started him with a screen right off the bat, some intermediate 0 to 10-yard throws. How much does that actually help? Because I'm stuck in my own brain right now. It's like, well, as a fan, this makes sense. But as the guy actually did it out there, does it help to, I guess, quote unquote, get your feet wet before you start uncorking these deep balls?
It does 100% because when you're trying to throw the deep balls, like the deep crossing routes, stuff like that. If you're starting the game off with that, you have to kind of feel kind of the vibe of the game, like how the DB is playing on the receiver, how your receiver's coming out on the angle. Because you work with the guys in practice, but they can be once game time hits, everything can kind of go haywire. So it definitely helps to be able to hit those short passes and just be like, all right, I can feel the ball coming off my finger. It's feeling good today. Let me start throwing some deep ones.
Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. We're talking superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts, I'll say that again, over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you will always find exactly what you are looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or it's your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you are burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home the huge wins with eBay Motors. So what are you waiting for out there? Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. And for all you small business owners out there, LinkedIn Jobs is where you have to be, because when you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you got to go check out LinkedIn Jobs. Now, LinkedIn Jobs has all the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn, it's not just another job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you cannot find anywhere else, even those that aren't even actively searching for a new job, but might be open to the perfect role. In any given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So it's easy as this. If you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're just not looking in the right place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. So hire professionals like a professional right there on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. I'll be completely honest with everyone right now. Like, the reason we've talked about Maryland now, like, every day this week, not to make it seem like we just beat Georgia or that, like, this is going to guarantee us a spot in the college football playoff, but like, it was a good win. But also, Brian, like, let's just have a legitimate and honest conversation with everyone. This game that we're about to see at Spartan Stadium at 3:30, like, you never want to overlook an opponent. Any given Saturday, anything could happen. But like, I don't know, man. Look, Alan Heller did a great job scheduling this game. I'd much rather play Prairie View A&M than Louisiana. I don't want to take any more risks than you already have to on the schedule. But look, the Florida State fan that before the Boston College game, he said, if we lose, I'm going to eat dog manure out of a red Solo cup with a spoon. Like, I'm not going to do anything extreme like that. Like, instead, like, if MSU loses this game, I'll just set myself on fire on camera. So, like, something more, rational and justified than, eating dog feces. But, like, we're not going to do a whole preview right now. I'll give you guys a few players to watch for on Prairie View in the third segment. But they're 1-1. First game of the season, they lost to Texas Southern, who was the last place vote getter in the SWAC preseason poll, and they just beat Northwestern State by 6 points last week. Northwestern State, they're the last place vote getter in the Southland. That's a long way of saying, Brian, they should win this game by 40-plus points. What on earth can you get out of a game like this?
I mean, the one thing I know Coach Smith is going to say is don't underestimate them. This is not like, I mean, they play football too. They strap their pads up.
I guess
they hit. So it's just a matter of execution. And I think there could be a lot of things that could, I mean, obviously a lot of good things that could come out of this game. Just getting in rhythm still, Chiles is still young, the offense, the defense still, trying to feel the game plan out, trying to figure out what kind of offense they're going to become, which I think they established a little bit last week. But it's just a chance to, keep growing, keep getting better. Game reps are hard to come by. You only get 12 guaranteed a year. So I think it'll be a good step up for everyone, offense, defense, everyone. Just keep getting those game reps, keep going.
That is much more optimistic than I'm looking at it, because my next question was, is this a game where you can only take concerns out of it? Like, sure, if you do good against Prairie View A&M, like, awesome. Like, you got an A in gym class. That's what you're supposed to do against a team like this. But, like, if you struggle, especially for the third week in a row on inside runs, then it's like, oh, my God, that's red flags. But I like that glass half full that you come here with, Brian. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes. I would be a little concerned if we weren't able to get a little bit of a push up front and, not continue to have guys in the backfield as Nate Carter's getting the ball or whoever. That would be something I'd be looking out for and want to see.
So, like, you never face an FCS opponent here, and, like, this is just so disrespectful to talk about them like this. Because, again, like, they play football too. These guys are on scholarship. I'm sure some of them are. Well, is it hard to not look over a team? Or is it a thing where it's like, you know what, you truly only do get 12 of these moments. I mean, we are going to gear up for every single one. Is it difficult, especially with the big road game against Boston College coming up next week? Or take us through, like, between the helmet here.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely don't want to overlook them. I would see it as more of a chance to just, like, ball out and have fun. Okay. I mean, there would have to be a lot of things go wrong in order to lose this game.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's just an opportunity for the guys to play loose and, Chiles to start ripping the ball downfield, maybe take a little more chances than what he does.
Sure.
But at the same time, you don't want the game to get out of hand, which I don't think it will. But you just want to execute, kind of like I said earlier, just execute, keep getting better, keep doing your thing, and figure out how to beat this team and what's working and what's not.
The one thing that I want to take away from this game here is we just talked about a few minutes ago. It's the run game. It's been fine. It was fine against Maryland. They did really well at the outside zone runs, but sometimes you need to keep that ball between the tackles. Hasn't been great to start the season. Certainly wasn't great last season, but Prairie View A&M in their first two games, they gave up 4.5 yards to Texas Southern, and last week 3.8 yards to Northwestern State, those demons down there in Louisiana. So like, if you can't get a push against these guys, then let's just start throwing the ball 70 times per game. We're never going between the tackles. So like that's the one thing I want to see. If not for just one game, I want to see production in between the tackles. That doesn't seem like too much to ask for. Is there one thing that you're looking forward to the most out of this game coming up?
I think you kind of just said it, because I mean we've seen Chiles in the passing game. Obviously he can make throws. I want to see him make a little bit smarter decisions.
Okay.
I don't think there was like his interceptions he had. One was just a bad throw. The one over across the middle, that was high.
Mm-hmm.
The other one in the end zone, I feel like it was a miscommunication, because it looked like he was trying to throw a corner route and the tight end was running up the seam. And then the third one was kind of a strip sack fumble that got caught. But
tough.
That's tough. I would like to see him make better decisions. But also I think just in the run game is be able to get a push, get 4 or 5 yards of carry, pop off some long ones, and not see guys in the backfield as the running backs getting handed the ball. I feel like that's more so just misassignments in the O-line, because they should be bigger, faster, stronger than these guys. They should be able to get a push, and if there's a guy in the backfield, it probably means someone didn't block who they were supposed to.
Before we start talking about Aidan Chiles, because I had a few like quarterback position specific questions lined up. Anything else you want to say about Prairie View A&M? You want to get in their all 22 film, or start talking about their two deep here?
No, it's fine. I don't know much about them. I feel like it should be.
Of course not. Who does? I know. It's just again, like I'll bark out a few names in this next segment here. Like they got a big receiver that's had 100-yard games, but this is all going to come back to bite me as we go to triple overtime against these guys. I already know what's going to happen. This is the Locked On Spartans jinx unfolding right before our own ears right now. But before this triple overtime game starts, Brian, look, we've talked a lot about Aidan Chiles. Broad question right off the top here. Where did he improve the most from week 1 to week 2? Is it that decision-making, just better throws? Where'd you see it at?
I thought it was more play call-wise and putting him in easier situations. Obviously, the deep balls he got, like I mentioned, he got better at putting a little air on it. I mean, he made the one to Nick Marsh that he got, drilled right in the face as he was throwing the ball. That was awesome to see. And he was hitting guys in stride and not overthrowing them as much as he was. I think his completion percentage was somewhere in the maybe high 50s, I think.
Ooh, you got me. Sure. Yeah, we'll say with confidence. High 50s, yeah.
I think it was like 24 for 39. I don't know the math on that right now, but I think that could be an improvement. He is hitting guys. One thing I've tried mentioning in my pod is making those throws where like a 5-yard out route, hitting the guy in stride and letting him turn up and run for 10, 15 instead of hitting the guy in the back hip where he's got to fall and get 6 yards only and he's down right there. I think he's improved in that, and letting the receivers work, letting them catch the ball and run.
So if anyone's going to lose sleep on that, that's 24 of 39 last week. I'm not going to do the math right there. That would take me about 30 minutes to crunch those numbers. So let's move on to the next question here. As a young quarterback, just second start in, obviously he's a very exciting player to watch, but what's the thing that's impressing you the most, especially considering how young of a player he is? Is there anything else that he's way ahead of schedule already on?
I think his arm strength for sure.
Okay.
I mean, being an 18-year-old, he's able to make, he made a couple, 12, 15-yard comeback routes to the field. I think one on third down, maybe a couple other times during the game. That for sure, just being able to do that. And then kind of how I said, just being able to hit the guy in stride, and allowing for the catch and run. Cause I think that's the difference between a good quarterback and like a really good going into the NFL type quarterback, is a guy that can hit the receivers in the right spot and let them run after the catch.
Right on. And you know what, to switch sides of the field here, anything Joe Rossi is doing specifically that you as a former quarterback are saying like, oh, that's very tricky. Like that is a miserable day for Billy Edwards because Joe Rossi keeps doing this.
I see, like that's where I wish I could see the all 22 and the team top is just like a little short and I'm not able to see everyone. But I did see, the first drive against Maryland, their game plan was obviously to throw the ball over top, and we were pressed in man coverage, and they ended up capitalizing on the last one, but missed on the first 4. And after that, there wasn't a lot of man press coverage. It was more zone and just more off, and they weren't taking the easy hitch routes, which was making it easy on our defense. So I liked how he switched the game plan from the first drive onto the rest of the game. I think that was really good to see.
Before letting you go, enjoy this weekend, enjoying yet another program win coming. No, that's a bridge too far. Anyway, before hopefully another win this Saturday. Look, as another podcast co-host, we got to do the talking heads thing. Got to hear the prediction for this Saturday. Panthers, Spartans, Big Ten Network, whole nation watching. What do you got?
Score prediction?
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna say we're gonna put up some points. I'm gonna go.
Hope so.
I'm gonna go 56 to 7.
Let's go. Some Tommy Schuster action in the second half, hopefully.
Oh yeah. Get him in the fourth quarter. Yeah.
Tommy touchdowns. There we go. That's what Aidan Chiles called him in the offseason. That's a nickname that's going to stick. I like that. I'm going to go with 46, and then let's go 13 for Prairie View A&M. We're going to send them home with double-digit points. Good on you guys, Panthers. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Hopefully it's not stressful. If we have to sweat even to drop this game, catch the post-game show coming up here. But guys, we got, again, I'll throw a few Panthers names, not to just completely disrespect the program. And then also, hey, mailbag questions, some best bets. We will be right back. Stay fueled up this season with Factor Foods. With Factor's no prep, no mess meals, you will meet your wellness goals thanks to the menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. Guys, if you were just watching at home over commercial break, you can get your food ready. No matter how busy you are, you will always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. So let's kick off your new healthy routine. What are you waiting for? With 35 different meals and more than 60 add-ons to choose from every week, you will always find new flavors to explore. Crush your wellness goals this fall with dietitian-approved meals and ingredients that you can trust. From breakfast to dessert, stay fueled with easy, nutritious options all day long. It is effortless to support your lifestyle. Choose from 6 menu preferences to help manage calories, maximize protein intake, avoid meat, or hey, just simply eating a well-balanced meal. Head to factormeals.com/lockedoncollege50 and use code lockedoncollege50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code lockedoncollege50 at factormeals.com/lockedoncollege50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. And gang, it's almost game day, so you already know it. I got my home field apparel on. Head over to homefieldapparel.com. It's like looking at a museum of some of the greatest logos that you could find in college sports. Of course, we're talking about your Spartans, all the vintage logos there, but go out to see the Kennesaw State logos, the Hawaii logos. They have tons of school guys. You're not just going to look good in your vintage logos, whether it's on their t-shirts, long sleeve t-shirts, sweatshirt, hoodies, their hats. But my goodness gracious, you will never be more comfortable in your entire life than you will be when you throw on some home field apparel clothing. Oh my goodness gracious. It is like a cloud caressing your body. They just don't take care of, the visuals though, how your body feels. They take care of your wallet too, because, hey, Locked On Spartans listeners, promo code Spartan24. Smash that in at homefieldapparel.com. That'll save you 15% off your first purchase. Again, Spartan24 over at homefieldapparel.com. It's homefieldapparel.com. So not to completely walk over the Panthers of Prairie View A&M, and look, you maybe have seen the spread out there. The spread is 40.5 for Michigan State. That's what S&P Plus is also predicting, a nice Michigan State 40. Prairie View A&M Panthers 0 final score of this game. So you always got to respect your opponent, everything like that. And, good on them, come up here, get a really nice payday. Everyone's got a job to do in life, but this should be a relatively easy win for Michigan State. If they win by any less than 30 points, that's going to be a little maybe disappointing, if not outright alarming. But nevertheless, hey, guys, you know what? We got some players to watch for if you're into that sort of stuff. Let's start at the receiver that has had 100-plus yards in both their games so far this season. Great name, by the way, Shamar Savage. Standing in at 6'4", he is a great target for quarterback Cameron Peters, who did not start this season as the starter for the Panthers. Halftime of their first game against Texas Southern, they made a quarterback change. They have not looked back, at least not in last game. He played the entire game of the Northwestern State contest. So Cameron Peters, he is a Kilgore College transfer. That's right. We went to see how Kilgore College did when he was quarterback there, and pretty well. They had a nice long season. I believe only lost 2 games. He is a 53% career passer. He had 26 touchdowns for the Fighting Kilgores. I have no idea what they're called, but yeah, that's what you get out of Cameron Peters. He does have some agility and athleticism to him. I don't think that's going to be the main part of his game, of bursting out of the pocket and getting 10, 15-yard chunk scrambles. Might it happen a few times? I guess. That's just not really like the dynamic part of his game. So that's what you have to look forward to for the quarterback, the receivers, the running backs. It's kind of like a lightning and thunder combo. The lightning being Connor Wisham. He has 3.8 yards per carry right now. And then LaMasia McDowell 4.0 yards per carry right now. He's the 220-pound guy, more of the battering ram running back. So there is the running back lineup right there for your Panthers. The offensive line, they let up 26 pressures combined in their first 2 games. That's nearly a third of all dropbacks for the Panthers. So if you're looking for Michigan State to continue feasting on the defensive line like they have been doing in the first 2 games, well, hell, guys, if they did it against FAU, if they did it against Maryland, I think it's not out of line to say, well, I expect them to do it here against Prairie View A&M. If you want me to throw out one defensive player to watch out for, I think it's got to be Fred Stokes. He's a defensive end. He had 4 pressures in week 1 against Texas Southern. But the pass rush really lacked last week. Just as a whole team against Northwestern State, they had 6 pressures in the whole game as a team. So hopefully another strong outing by the offensive line coming up here. All right, let's go to a mailbag question. Liam writes in, not to overlook / disregard Prairie View, but what second or third string players are you most excited to see showcase their skills on Saturday? For me, my top 3 would be Brandon Tulis, Isaiah Johnson, and Jalen Smith, and Justin Denson. Liam, those are 4 great names right there. I mean, that like Brandon Tulis, certainly at the top of the line. Really wonder if K'Ron Lynch-Adams is going to see an uptick in his carries in the second half. Maybe they let Nathan Carter get his legs a break here. But yeah, Brandon Tulis, I'd imagine, will get the rock 4 or 5 times at least in this game. For offense, I gotta say, it's not sexy, but it's the offensive line. Just because what do we talk about all offseason? It's how little experience the 2 deep has right now. And unfortunately, we're already cutting into our 2 deep. Gavin Brocious now being the starter at right guard ever since Christian Phillips went down with his season-ending injury. But behind that, what are you going to get out of, I don't know, maybe some true freshmen like Andrew Dennis, for example. Maybe Dellinger gets in the mix a little more here. So just to see how the offensive linemen stack up in the second half here. And also, I don't even know if it will get to this, but I am fascinated. Let's say, okay, Aidan Chiles, you play the first half, a little bit of the third quarter. Touchdown Tommy, or Tommy Touchdowns, whatever his nickname is, he gets some snaps too. At the very end, though, I do wonder if they will ever get to a third quarterback, because that'll be fascinating to see who is already ahead, as young as they are, between Alessio Milivojevic and then Rylan Jesse, the 2 true freshman quarterbacks that they signed last class. So just to see a pecking order. But more so, I'm interested in the defense. And unfortunately, just like the offensive line, they're already cutting into their depth. Like Jeremiah Hughes had to play 22 snaps last week, but I'm excited to see him get a lot more run in this game. I think he'll still play in the first half when the game will still be competitive, air quotes around that. And my God, I hope it's not competitive with any air quotes at all in the second half. But hey, you know what? Like, that's a guy that I want to see a little bit more of. That is a redshirt freshman transfer from LSU last year. I'm also fascinated to see the linebackers too, because you know what? Let's start looking at the next chapter for the linebacker room here. It's really strong this year. But when those guys leave, well, how are the Young Bucks going to be looking against an FCS team? We're talking guys like Marcellus Pulliam, the transfer from Miami. Samaj Bridgman, I'm really fascinated with to see if he will get on the field and in what capacity. We kind of threw around, you know what, maybe he will be an edge rush one day. Maybe he will be a linebacker. So just to even see where they have him to start off his career, let's see if Samaj Bridgman gets on the field in this game. And then also, you know what, for another true freshman, Brady Pretzloff. And we're not just saying that, because we had him on the show a few months ago, and we're rooting for Brady really hard. And, of course we are. We root for all Spartans in life. But that's a guy that already has, physically the build of a college linebacker. And if this was last year, if he was just a year older, he would have gotten a lot of run last year. But with the additions that they've had in the portal with Wayne Matthews, Jordan Turner, you already have Cal Halliday, you have Jordan Hall. He's backlogged right now in the linebacker room. Let's see if he'll get any shine here on Saturday. So I think that's another good name to watch out for. All right, we're going to send you into the weekend here with 5 best bets. And guys, I got to say, it's so far, knock on wood, we're not, in a halfway house or a shelter just yet. We are 6-4 overall on the season. That's right. Let's clap it up for us, everyone. We went 3-2 last week. Your winners were Michigan State plus 9.5. Suckers, they gave us points, those fools. Under 57.5 for Nebraska versus Colorado. Tennessee minus 7.5 over NC State. That was never a doubter. And the 2 losses, happy to lose this first one. Michigan plus 7.5 over Texas did not go well. And then Iowa minus 2.5. That looks pretty good until it didn't against Iowa State. So this week, I'm going to start by putting like an asterisk on this one. And no, we're not picking a Michigan game. What I mean by the asterisk is I know this is called 5 best bets. Like, my confidence level for this first one is not high. However, I feel like I have to pick a Michigan State game in this segment. I hate picking these games, FBS versus FCS. You never know how hard the FBS team is going to go against the other one, when they're going to call the dogs off, should it ever get to that. But FanDuel right now has Prairie View A&M as 40.5 point underdogs. I'm gonna take the 40.5. Again, with like the least confidence I've ever had during this segment. So yeah, let's call it, Michigan State up 4 possessions at halftime. They're somewhere in the 30s. Midway through the third quarter, they call the dogs off. Prairie View scores late, and then MSU wins by like 34 something. So that's where I'm at right now. I did go back and look to see how Jonathan Smith has done against FCS teams in his last 3 years at Oregon State, and he's throttled them. Like, I think the closest margin of victory was a 68-28 victory a few years ago against a FCS team. Maybe it was UC Davis. And nevertheless, not important. Jonathan Smith seems like a nice guy. Like, he's not like overly nice to the FCS teams. He does pour it on against them, just like many FBS programs do. But give me the 40.5. I'm sorry to just start the segment with that little confidence. Anyway, here are 4 more that I actually have confidence on right now. We're going to go Purdue 10.5 point home underdogs against Notre Dame. Purdue coming off of a bye. Notre Dame, of course, coming off of that horrendous loss against Northern Illinois. So, hey, Fighting Irish, they might be coming back pissed off, ready to make a statement. But here's my issue. With that offense, can they? It's not like they were putting up 30-plus points against Texas A&M in that great win. Like, what if the offense just sucks? That could be quite the issue here. So, yeah, like a Purdue defensive-led team at home at Ross-Ade. We know how hard that could be to play. I like 10.5 whole points for the Boilermakers in that one. The Apple Cup between Washington and Washington State. Do a quick pick right here. Washington -4.5. I'm going to take the home team in this one. Missouri versus Boston College. That is a 16-point spread. Guys, Boston College, they have looked mighty fine so far. Mighty competent, at the very least, against Florida State and then throttling Duquesne. I think Mizzou, though, is a little above Boston College. I know 16 points is a lot to cover, but, man, Mizzou, I like their trenches. I like everything they returned from last year. I love that it's a home game for them. I'm going to take the Tigers and the Fighting Zion Yuns -16 in that one. And then to cap things off, BYU -8.5 on the road at Wyoming. Wyoming, their offense has been great under their new offensive coordinator. I forgot who that is, but 20 points so far this season by Wyoming, combined in their first 2 games. So, yes, I will be fading Jay Johnson as much as humanly possible. That continues this week. BYU -8.5. So here we go. Just for a nice little recap here. Prairie View A&M +40.5. Leave that off your card if you want. Purdue +10.5 against Notre Dame. Washington -4.5 against Washington State. Missouri -16 over Boston College. And then BYU -8.5 at Wyoming. Folks, do all your wagering over at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And before we let you go, we will be doing the full recap episode sometime on Sunday after this game. We'll try to get like a short recap thing for, a nice 8-10 minute drive home on Saturday. Can't promise it. I'm going to try my absolute best. Your boy's got a busy Saturday over around these parts. So Sunday's when the full recap will come. And then, of course, guys, after that, every day the next week, ramping up for Michigan State versus Boston College. Big September game for our Spartans coming up. And hey, guys, again, if you're driving up to the tailgate, you still got 30 more minutes. Hey, we interviewed Jonathan Kim a few days ago. We talked with Chase Glasser yesterday, Stephen Brooks 2 days ago. No shortage of episodes here at Locked On Spartans. Cannot thank you enough for listening, making us part of your weekly routine or your game day routine. We will see you on Sunday. Love you all. Go